strategy was basically to come in and not appear like unapproachable lawyers to the client.
No, I think you might be.
Because that's what we are. You know.
Your job is great.
But I'm sorry.
I was going to start with what we thought were probably our weaknesses. So firstly, to do with the contract, we weren't quite sure whether we were actually supposed to be looking at that contract. And the reason that is that there was all this information surrounding the contract which we weren't supposed to see, and this little strip of information there. So we weren't sure if maybe she made a mistake and was showing us something which we weren't supposed to see. And as a result, I didn't actually read the terms, and I kept having to ask her repeatedly, what the terms were and what the terms were that she thought were the issue, which is in fact our jobs. She shouldn't have to be explaining that we should be listing that information ourselves. So that was that. The issue surrounding that was that we had to keep going back, having to ask her to repeat herself, and most importantly, we asked her to kind of like tell us, aspects of the contract which really she's not qualified to tell us. Secondly, to do with the facts, I think I personally felt like I was a bit lost at times, and I had to keep going back to certain issues and ask her to repeat and clarify issues which she'd already kind of clarified and told us that all she could about, which I guess is not very professional, and ideally it would have established chronology and been able to kind of identify the most pertinent issues and really focused on those, but instead, because I was unsure, or we were unsure for at least some of the interview, we had to kind of keep jumping back and forth.
At the same time, sort of made an executive decision to ask for the document, since she said that she brought it. So playing along with that, like we felt that we should be reading it. So we just tried to read it quickly and then give it back. And from there, we tried to work on the basis that we had a quick glance at it. But I think we also gave her practical advice, like, we will photocopy this. Please bring in the contracts, everything you've signed, your job offer, so that we can peruse it. We also, I think, established her goals quite early on, and that was tactical on our part, because we felt that, like straight away when she mentioned, there's a new job offer, I'm thinking about going to it, but I don't know whether I can, that we need to establish that.
And we want to be goal orientated in our advice, so asking them earlier enabled us to kind of be able to focus on the issues which were most pertinent for her.
Yeah, like her relationship with Ben, wanting to repair that. Like, I mean, she could. It's like she could go down the accusing him of sexual harassment path, but she probably wouldn't want to. And I thought we identified that quite well.
I feel like one of our strengths of the team is that we've known each other for a long time, and so we're quite emotionally aware of each other. And so when Mel senses that I'm struggling, I feel like she's quite good at just jumping in and being able to kind of finish what I'd already started, and to me as well towards Mel.
I think it's fair to say that we've taken into account the logistical issue of the contract, so that wasn't your fault. You asked a pretty obvious, good question, show me the document, and that caused a bit of issues. So we factored that in. So I know you've highlighted it as a weakness, but that wasn't your fault. So our assessment will take that into account. We provide feedback now.
Yeah, we may as well. I think a general note, good rapport with the client. Your methodology was good. I suppose the only real weakness we sort of found or agreed on was establishing the objectives of the client up front and centre. We don't think that you really got to her underlying aims, which I suppose we can share with you now, that she really just wanted to start this new job, forget about everything else and just get on with it. She didn't want to waste time or anything. Time was really the essence for her. And I'm not sure you necessarily established that. And you did eventually get to her concern about fees, but I'm not sure that was to a while to get to that. But that's one is a small sort of negative on what I thought was a very good all-round performance of trying to elicit, which is a very complicated fact pattern. And there's a lot of facts that you did very well of getting down. And I think your advice was very good at the end. You were sort of spot on in terms of where legally she stood, and you were going to go away and think about that. So
you gave very clear instructions about what she had to provide to you and what you were going to do, and you recognised one of the issues that the client actually mentioned to us is that she had this 2-week time frame to accept the job, and she was grateful that you recognised that and were going to work within those parameters, so that was good. And like you said, you raised the teamwork between the two of you when you finish each other's sentences if someone was getting stuck, that kind of thing. But it did work well, and you didn't feel it was forced at all, and it worked more with the client. So.
Yeah, the point that struck me was, as lawyers that charge $200 an hour, you've got a 19-year-old in your office who've told you that they have no cash. And just at a commercial level, and this feeds into my second point, I'd be worried I wasn't going to get paid, point one. Point two, she doesn't have a lot of money. No, it's a fact. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. But the reason I say that is for this point, that feeds directly into what her goals are and what you're trying to achieve for her. Because the reality is she can't pay you for 22 hours of work. You're not going to get paid for that. But you want to deliver a solution that's tailored for this client. So you've got to try and get to the point, quick, smart. I think, Melanie, you asked, and it was a good question, what's your best case scenario? I think after about 5 minutes you asked that question. And I thought, yeah, that's where you've got to go early on in the interview. So I think that was great that you got there pretty early on. And I think it was difficult trying to work that out because there are a lot of red herrings in this, which is that's part of the exercise. So I think that was really good. And I say that about the money for that very reason, because what's her best case scenario? Well, she wants to take the new job and not have to pay money too much on lawyers. That's the solution. So I think that's why I raise that in all seriousness. So, but I echo the comments of the fellow judges that the report was very good. I think she had a clear action plan. One of the points that she mentioned was that she wanted to go, she thought she was moving to Melbourne anyway. And that's pretty important because the key point of the document that you had trouble seeing was that it was a restraint in Perth only. So that you got there, and then it kind of went away because there's your answer.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you knew that she had no dough and she wasn't going to pay for 22 hours of work, as a lawyer, you go, solution.
Just bugger her off, really.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think that you had the elements of that, and it's drawing that together in a very, very short time frame with difficult facts. So I think you did a pretty good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a 15-minute break now. I'd like to invite you all past the partition for drinks and food. And yeah, we'll come back at about 7 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Start with the next one. Thank you.
No, I think
Well done.
Information, but it wasn't clear what direction she wasn't very forthcoming with what the information she wanted to tell us. It was alright. But yeah, I don't know. It was fun.
It's fine, it's fine. Oh, I love that. I am very good.
Well done, Bill. Well done. We haven't-